Hi everyone, welcome back to A Piece of Chrissy. Or if you're new here, then welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm Chrissy, and each week I break down the current astrological transits so you know what's ahead for you and couple them with no nonsense practical advice to help you live your most inspired, aligned, and peaceful life. This coming week is packed with energy shifts. We have several planets and the sun entering into new signs, so the vibe is definitely shifting and we will see different priorities emerge in our lives. Let's break it all down. Juno, the asteroid of committed partnerships, is currently in retrograde, and on Tuesday she retrogrades back into the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio can bring some challenges, but also transformation. Essentially, we're going to be asking a lot more from our partnerships than we did in the easygoing and fun-loving sign of Sagittarius. Now we are called to re-examine any patterns around trust, intimacy, sex, and power dynamics. And while these aren't exactly easy breezy fun topics that you can just bring up while you're getting ready for work and rushing out the door in the morning, nevertheless, these are fundamental building blocks to any long-term relationship. Because Juno is in retrograde, this is a time of re-evaluation. So don't be surprised if any of these themes come up again, even though you thought that you had already dealt with the issue and addressed it. It doesn't mean that your relationship is failing or falling apart. It usually just points to the fact that the issue hasn't fully been addressed yet, or even more commonly that although you have addressed it and have found a solution, you haven't put the solution into practice yet and integrated it into your lives. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, so it has a tendency to really hold on to emotions for a really long time, both positive and negative. You don't want to rub a Scorpio the wrong way. And one of the challenges that many of us face in relationships is holding on to past hurt for too long and robbing us and the other person and the relationship of the opportunity to move on and to grow and to heal. But then on the other side, we don't just want to forgive and forget all the time really quickly, because if you do that, then you're not really prioritizing your own emotions enough, and the other person is not going to understand that something that they did really hurt you and really upset you if you just quickly move on. So there is this fine balancing act which can be quite tricky. The key to all this, you've heard this a million times before: open and honest communication. As long as both parties genuinely want what's best for the other person and are able to communicate that in an open, vulnerable, and honest way, then you will move through any challenges that you are faced with and your relationship will only grow stronger. And in order to do so, there is a certain level of self-reflection that's necessary, because how on earth are you going to openly communicate your needs to your partner if you don't even know them yourself? So before you start up any conversations around deep, intimate topics with your partner, take some time to gain clarity first, either through journaling or perhaps by going on a walk or working out at the gym, just to get that mental clarity. Two questions you can reflect on are: where do I need deeper emotional honesty? And are my commitments rooted in authenticity or fear? This is a powerful time to uncover hidden truths in relationships and recommit to partnerships that truly align with your own growth. Mercury back in Aries speeds up our mental processing. You may notice a sharper wit, quicker decisions, and a strong urge to speak your mind. So in order to navigate this transit, first you need to be really honest with yourself. Do you already have a tendency to speak before you think and inadvertently cause conflicts, even though that was not your intention at all? Or are you somebody who shrinks into the background and you will not speak your mind until you are explicitly invited by somebody to do so? If your communication style is already quite bold and forward and impulsive, then this is a time where some conscious effort is going to be required on your part to hold back and to rein it in a little bit, just in order to avoid any unnecessary conflict. During conversations, focus on deep breathing and, most importantly, actively listening to the other person. But if your communication style is already quite restrained and considered, then you're really encouraged to lean into the more bold and self-expressive communication style of Mercury and Aries. You may surprise yourself and others by how much you can add to the conversation just by speaking up and owning your truth. Mercury in Aries can also make us a little bit snarky, finding humor at the expense of others, and that's regardless of which end of the communication spectrum you fall into. Especially online, where there's very little repercussions for anybody leaving negative comments, we may see an increase in harsh negative communication online. If you are on the receiving end of that, just be aware that this is a time where everybody is a little bit more prone to that. Don't heed it any attention and absolutely do not take any of these things personally. And if you're on the giving end, just take a little bit of time to consider how other people may feel before you post that funny comment. Some jokes are better just kept to ourselves. Because Mercury rules our thoughts, one really great way of working with any Mercury transit is to learn something new based on the sign that it is currently in, to really keep that mind engaged. Focus it on something new and interesting, and then it's less likely to misbehave with negative self-talk or spiraling thoughts. That's the trick. So in Aries season, a great topic to dive into is the art and craft of self-promotion. And now this is a subject that so many of us are really uncomfortable with because, we don't want to come across as arrogant or conceited. But it's one of the key skills which is now more relevant than ever before, regardless of if you are an aspiring or successful influencer, a stay-at-home mum, a freelancer who's dependent on bringing their own business in, or if you've worked at the same company for the last 20 years. We are in the age of social media where everybody is their own brand and everybody is responsible for marketing themselves up to a level of success and growth that they are hoping to achieve in their lives. No one is going to do it for you. So take some time to read a book, maybe drop us some recommendations in the comments if you've got some, or listen to an audiobook or to a related podcast while you're out on a walk or doing chores or running errands, honoring that active Aries energy. Or there are also tons upon tons of amazing free videos you can watch on YouTube, or perhaps even do an online course. Mindvalley and Skillshare are two of my favorite platforms to learn about these kinds of topics. So, of course, for any planets that are now entering into Aries, Neptune is already waiting right there on the other side saying hello. This is the third Neptune and Mercury conjunction within the space of about a month and a half, but the last two took place in Pisces, whereas this one is now in Aries. So it's taking on an entirely new flavor. So whereas the last two times we were encouraged to communicate our dreams and our visions for the future, now there is an element of bringing those visions into reality and taking action on them. You might even have sudden insights or flashes or thoughts or even premonitions about a future path that you are currently on. And that will be coupled with the energy to either pursue that path or to do everything you can to change it, depending on whether that was a fun premonition or a not so pleasant one. This might also come in the form of an intense dream or even a series of intense dreams around this time. One thing we do need to be careful with is that neither Aries energy nor Neptune in general are particularly concerned with small details. This is big picture thinking. And so focusing on the nitty-gritty little details may be a lot more challenging than usual. Just keep that in mind if you've got any paperwork to fill out or sign, or if you are doing work where attention to detail is very important, like programming, for example. On the other hand, it's a very fertile time for any kind of artistic, creative expression. So if you can find the time and space to dedicate yourself to your art, I highly, highly encourage you to do so. And I feel like I need to say this as well, is that you don't have to be working in the creative industries or have some kind of creative side hustle in order to do that. In fact, if you can just dedicate yourself to an art form, whichever one that might be, just for the pure enjoyment and fun of it, then that will dissolve a lot of barriers and a lot of difficulties and make you enjoy that process a lot more. It will make it easier to enter into a flow state, and most likely you'll be a lot more impressed with the results at the end as well. This transit is great news, really. Mars in Cancer did make us a bit moody, a bit unpredictable, but in Leo, the story changes. Mars loves being in Leo. This is where we get confidence, we enjoy standing in the spotlight, and we have the energy and the courage to pursue what truly lights us up. The energy becomes more playful and heart-centered, but also a bit more dramatic. Although not dramatic in the kind of moody, sulky kind of way, dramatic in a sense of adding flair, a lot more gesticulating, and people maybe exaggerating a little bit to make their stories more fun, so to speak. Essentially, it feels like there is testosterone in the air everywhere around. So do expect a little bit more fire in the bedroom as well. With that, there can also come ego challenges and ego flare-ups. Although they are more likely to be big and dramatic and explosive in the moment and then very quickly fizzle away again. If you decide to take my advice about Mercury in Aries and learn more about self-marketing and self-promotion, then Mars in Leo is really going to light a fire and support you in that and support you in putting everything that you learn into practice. So use that big boost of confidence and charisma that you're getting and step out into the world and show off your talents unapologetically. Finally, on Saturday, we are moving into the second sign of the zodiac, grounded, stable, and reliable Taurus. Oftentimes, the transition days where the sun goes from one zodiac sign to the next can be a bit harsh and jarring. For example, in the summer, we go from fun-loving and exuberant Leo into diligent and reality-focused Virgo, giving us this reality check. Or we go from harmonious and a little bit superficial Libra into deep, broody Scorpio. Or we move from dreamy and intuitive Pisces into bold, action-oriented, no-nonsense Aries. But Aries to Taurus is one of the most satisfying and pleasant transitions of them all. Because essentially we have just spent an entire month getting ourselves up, starting new projects, spring cleaning our homes, getting all sorts of shit done, and now we get to slow down a bit and luxuriate in the rewards of our hard work. It's like a warm, comforting hug waiting for you at home at the end of a really tough workday. We become more grounded and naturally take more pleasure in the simple but beautiful things in life. Self-care becomes more of a priority through rest and nourishing ourselves and spending time in beautiful surroundings. There is a bit of a misconception about Taurus energy being lazy, and that's not necessarily true. It's just that the actions we take during Taurus season need to be more leveled and consistent, rather than high-powered and explosive like they were during Aries season. Taurus invites us to slow down and pace ourselves, but to nevertheless keep going. We will get there when we get there, so why not enjoy the journey and enjoy the views along the way? The only thing I will say is that if you have been overexerting yourself during Aries season, or maybe even already before that, then as you step into Taurus season, there may be this flash of rebellion happening where all of a sudden you just don't want to do anything anymore. And if you've been teetering on the edge of burnout, then that is absolutely understandable. It's just that you will have a better experience gradually slowing down, dropping the things that aren't important, that aren't urgent, and prioritizing only the most important things for a while and slowly, gradually tapering down. Taurus energy is essentially like a steam train. It takes a while to get going, but once it's going, and you don't want to all of a sudden slam your brakes on and go from 100 miles to 0, because that will be a shock to the system and that may be a little bit unpleasant. So just give yourself a little bit of time to gradually slow down. This is the time to find appreciation and gratitude for life's small and big luxuries. Plan a picnic with your friends, book yourself into a spa, or just step outside and enjoy that first cup of coffee in your garden or on your balcony. If you don't already have a gratitude practice, this is the best time to start one. And it doesn't have to be anything complicated or convoluted, just taking a bit of time to jot down 3 things that you're grateful for in the mornings or in the evenings is plenty. You can do that in a nice notebook, or you can do it on your phone. You can even record a voice memo if that speaks to you. Because the interesting thing that happens is that as you focus your mind on the things that you are grateful for and let yourself really feel that gratitude as well, that process doesn't stop as soon as you put your notebook or your phone down. In the background, your mind is still processing that, and it's still trying to find other things and seeing other things that you can be grateful for. And so the more you do that, the more you will get these little pings throughout your day of, oh, this is nice, I'm really grateful for this. And obviously, the more you do that, the more appreciation you find in your life, the more you open yourself up to even more amazing, wonderful things to come into your life. This week is all about balancing bold action with deep introspection as we navigate transformative transits from Juno retrograding into Scorpio to Mars entering into Leo. Whether you are reassessing your relationships on a deep and profound level, or boldly stepping into new opportunities with courage and confidence, this week holds huge potential for growth. So let me know which transit you are most excited for in the comments below. And if you would like some personalized insights into how these will affect you and where the opportunities truly lie for you, then you can book a consultation with me through the link in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me and watching all the way until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on practical astrological insights, and maybe share this with a friend who could use a little bit of extra alignment. Take care, and I'll see you next week.